Hello everyone and welcome to Parola Armour Museum here in southern Finland. You may be wondering what the heck I'm doing here. Well, this is the armour museum of the Finnish military here in the autumn field, somewhat bleak, Parola Numi in southern Finland. The location of this museum is not quite random because as far as I know, behind that forest over there is situated the Finnish armor brigade, so that's why the museum is here, and you can already see the armored train there. But enough jibber jabber, let's get inside. Okay, I've just entered through the gate, and here as a gatekeeper we have Sherman M4. That looks like M4A2 maybe. Has the short 75mm gun there. Here we have one beaten up Comet. There's the museum buildings, and over there you can see the hill where the tanks are situated, many of them. And yeah, it was pretty easy to get here at the museum. There's a train station about 2 kilometers from here, so I just walked from there to here. You should be able to get to the train station from Helsinki or Tampere. And also Parola is situated next to a highway, so if you're coming by car it's pretty easy to get here. You know you're getting close when you see this big ass Leopard 2 A4 tank just next to the highway. If you're coming to the highway, or even if you walk from the train station, you will see it, so then you will know you're getting close. But anyway, let me get inside and get myself a ticket before someone kicks me out, and then we'll continue. Okay, we're back outside. Museum person who gave me the tickets said that they might not like it too much if you film things in here, but at least these outdoor tanks, you can see them in Google Maps and things like that, so filming these should be at least fine. I've already been through the inside exhibitions, so it was a lot of stuff in there, in a very small space nonetheless, but still a lot of impressive things in there. Maybe I can tell you more when I get back home, but yeah, unfortunately I had to skip those for now. Just want to make sure that I won't get in trouble for filming those, but there should be no problem filming this, since yeah, you can see these tanks in like Google Maps. So I don't know if you can hear it, but there's shooting in the background, like since the armored brigade is situated there behind that forest. T-72 turret with light damage. This is there. Number 3 hit. It's penetrated the gun mantlet. It actually has exited through there, like behind the commander, through the roof. And it was 125mm Sabo round from Russian gun. This number 2 hit was also from a similar Sabo round. Basically, the spray of hot metal from that would have caused a catastrophic explosion of the ammunition inside the tank. There's also one in here, it's easy to miss. That's from a 30mm armor piercing round. That is from a small cannon, like on an APC for example, BMP2. It's penetrated the gunner's sights. And oh boy, here's the armor train. Kinda hard to get it all for you, but I'll try my best. And yeah, the engine is there in the middle, so it will be protected a bit by the gun carriages in the front and the back. So it would be difficult for airplanes to destroy it. Apparently this train was mostly used for anti-aircraft duties. It has two 76mm guns there, and plenty of other weaponry to go around. This is not really my field of expertise, but of course it's cool to see it here. Must have been a nightmare to get it here, since, well, there isn't train tracks here in the museum, so yeah. It has been like one carriage at a time. It said on the placard that it has taken many decades to move it all here. Okay, we are here at the outdoor tank display, and hopefully I can talk about these tanks for you guys without being sued or anything, since, well, you can see these tanks in the Google Maps, so I shouldn't be revealing any secrets of the museum for you too much. And yeah, first here we have, well, there's like 2 rows of these tanks, but this is like the early tanks row, and then we go later to the late war and after war tanks. Sorry if I keep struggling with my words, since I'm outside and sort of have to do this quick. Well, not quick, but cannot take many takes. Anyway, first here we have the Finnish owned originally Vickers 6-ton tank, made in England originally, but these were bought without weaponry, and they were fitted with weaponry when they arrived in Finland. Originally they had these tanks had they didn't have any weaponry for a while, but then when they eventually got the guns, there was a 37mm Bofors gun, but during the wars that Finland fought with Soviet Union, these tanks were re-equipped terrible word. Re-equipped with Soviet 45mm guns, such as this one here. This was done in order to make the ammunition supply more simple, since the 37mm gun wasn't so common in tanks. If you know about T-26 tanks, then you might wonder, like, what is this thing here next to the driver? Well, that's actually a gunner's position, and the weapon that he would use was a specifically made Suomi submachine gun that was specifically made for tank use. Here next we have a very similar looking tank, sort of, but not quite. And this is actually a T-26. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between Vickers and T-26, since they are, well, basically the same tank. But yes, and this is an early model T-26 with a single turret. There's also the earliest ones for twin turret tanks, but this has one turret with a 45mm gun. But it's an early version of that cannon tank from 1933, and apparently this is the only one that has survived of this model. Next we have a very similar looking tank. It's also T-26 model 1933. I'm not a super expert on this, so I'm not going to say too much, but I can see right away that the rivets look very different. It seems this is more advanced in production methods, at least for certain. And yeah, during the Winter War, the Finns captured a lot of these T-26s, and then when the continuation war started, the T-26 was basically the primary Finnish main battle tank. Well, tank. Here we have another T-26, but it's kind of wrecked. More specifically, it's year model 1937, and it's been hit many times with anti-tank weapons during the Winter War. Here on the sides of the turret. And when the Winter War ended, it was taken to Helsinki. And it was shown in as a war booty, sort of, but well, it's wrecked, so it was just to show people that we managed to destroy some tanks, yay! And miraculously enough, it managed to survive the scrap craze of the afterwar period. It's completely unusable, cannot be driven or anything, but for some reason it was not scrapped, so that's lucky for us that some people just forgot about it, I guess. And yet another T26, or wait, it isn't technically. You see this big bulge in here next to the driver's seat again, but it's not Vickers either this time. It is, well, it is basically T26, but more technically it's OT-133. It has originally been a flamethrower tank, but after it has been captured by the Finns, the flamethrower equipment has been taken out, and instead a machine gun has been fitted here in place, so now it can also take a machine gunner in the hull. You may have noticed also the hull is here now more pronounced and wider, since there's more stuff inside. And this should be quite easy to recognize tank. Stalin's three-headed monster. Oops, we have a drop in here. Almost fell. Yeah, the T-28. Only one of 5 that are still existing. Well, lots of bolts here for, I suppose, like extra armor. Though it has already been fitted with extra armor. But yeah, it seems that it was actually the Finns that put the extra armor on this one, since the Finns had captured a T-28 which had those extra armors been applied by the Soviets, and then we decided that, hey, let's put extra armoring on all of our T-28 since it seems like it's a good idea. And it probably was, since this tank was quite fragile otherwise to any kinds of anti-tank weapons. These tanks were not very popular with Finns since they tend to break down a lot, and the gun was completely useless against T-34s, so yeah, not very popular in the continuation war anymore. And now a real gem of this museum, T-50, one of only 2 that are still existing. The other one is in Russia, and well, this one is here in Finland. And this one has been equipped with extra armor here on the front, and also on the turret cheeks, and just go all the way back. Oh, no, not in the back. Well, yeah, since there's a hatch in the back, so yeah. On the front and the turret sides. And yeah, this tank, it was quite advanced. Torsion bar, suspension, radios and everything. Well, it was just too expensive for the Soviets to manufacture. It cost as much as a T-34, so you might as well produce T-34s, I guess. The gun is still the same 45mm one, so that was getting kinda outdated pretty soon in the war. And as a result, only 65 of these tanks were produced. And well, some of them were used against the Finns in Karelia, and this one was captured there, and it was used by the Finns during the war as a command tank, and thank goodness it survived. Since there's only now 2 of these tanks left. Great tank in War Thunder, or at least it used to be when they originally released the tanks. Like, this was so OP, and of course it's been in the world of tanks since, well, forever. This here is the T-60, also in War Thunder, but this one seems a bit odd, since I'm very certain that that is not a 20mm autogun. That looks more like, I'd say, 37mm. Seems about the same correct size. Here in the plague it says that it's 20mm, but it's not 20mm. It would be a lot smaller if it was that. But yeah, small light tank, only a crew of 2, which was one of its undoings, since the commander had to do way too many things at the same time. And apparently this one has been captured by the Finns in 1944, so this was used quite late by the Soviets still, but I suppose in the Karelia, in the Finnish front, they had still some outdated tanks in there. Apparently it wasn't really used by the Finns since there wasn't so many of these and wasn't so useful anyway. And here next to the T60 is its bigger brother, T70. Basically a lot of the same as the T60, just more armor and damn. It's not really a tank I know that much about. I know it has 2 engines. They are diesel, if I remember correct. And this one is missing its main armament for some reason. It's kind of weird. It seems like there's plenty of these 45mm guns to go around, but this one is missing its gun for some reason. Anyway, let's go to the lower row now. I think I've covered all of these in here.